and emails with Morgan. And I guess this is really interesting topic because we have never been talking about this one here at Reply. And I actually haven't seen lots of webinars focused on specifically this topic. So that's why I'm thinking it's really great topic. So today we have Morgan. Morgan, if you would on your end, yeah.
Yeah, so most of you may know who I am, or you don't. Morgan Ingram. I was an SDR to start off my career, SDR manager as well. Had 13 reps, and then I did full-time sales training for JB Sales. So better, y'all probably familiar with them. And I trained Slack, Google, the platform we're on right now, Zoom, Snowflake, etc. Top companies on how to build pipeline. And now I do content creation. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. I've been following Morgan for like, I guess, 5 years or 4, and it's really great to have him with us today. So yeah, as you can see, I'm super excited. That's gonna be great. Before we get started, I also encourage you to follow the link reply.io/SDE. We will be hosting an, like, I would say, pretty amazing virtual event in like 10 days from now on. So we'll have like bunch of great people, bunch of great SDRs, SDR leaders. They will be sharing best practices, insights about sales development, prospecting tactics, tips, and SDR leadership, management, and so on. So yeah, just go there and like sign up for this virtual event. It's going to be like a 5 hours or 6 hours event full of great topics and panels. So here's what we will cover today. We'll be talking about LinkedIn messages and emails. We'll talk about best practices. Then we will review some of templates you sent us earlier before. Then we will have a quick Q&A session. So feel free to send your templates. Even right now, if we have some time, we'll review your templates again. We'll review more templates. So feel free to use Q&A section here in Zoom, and we will have a few thank you words after all. So, and as always, so we will send the recording and slides. So no problem here. Let's proceed to linking emails and messages, and of course, best practices. So here are these best practices. Morgan, you want to go through them, or you want me, and then you will comment on them?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you all see them here. We're not going to read them line by line. I'm going to pick out 2 that are the most important, and Vlad will also give his context as well. You know, when you think about LinkedIn messages, most of you probably get, I like to call, value vomited on. I don't know. Has anyone here, like, put a 1 if you just like got pitch slapped or value vomited and you're like, oh, this is great. Like, I love this. And I probably don't, but like, just put a 1 if you felt that way. So at the end of the day, like, this is what we're trying to avoid, and which is why we're talking about some best practices here. So the 2 that I'm going to talk about that are critical, and if you treat it this way and you go about this way, you'll end up being more successful. I actually want to talk about number 2, since we just talked about this. You don't want to pitch right away. Now, I'm going to give a caveat and a context point. If you have let's say there was a referral, or you've done some research, or you've been super personalized, that's a good avenue to effectively, at the end of the day, like, actually reach out to somebody, right? If you found something that's extremely insightful. So I also want to have a caveat here, is like, if you find relevant information, you've done some research, like, yeah, come with the personalized way of reaching out to them. But the second part is what it's talking about is here, making it relevant. So where can you find that information? On the website, on their LinkedIn profile, on Twitter, in some cases, even YouTube. That's how you want to reach out to somebody. Shout out to Sam McKenna. This is like her saying, show me you know me. Like, that's what you want to do there. Number 3 is personalized voice messages and videos. Now, quick question for you all. Like, how many of you are leaving voice notes or videos? Put like a quick 3 in the chat if you've left a voice note or a video before. If you are not, this is something that you need to get on. So if you are connected with someone on a 1st degree level, you could send them a voice note or a video, right, to see success in a conversion. So that's another thing that you can be doing as well to stand out. So I wanted to point to those 2 things. I'll hand over to Vlad, see what he has to say.
Yeah, that's great. I love relevance. I love being relevant, and sometimes you can even convert relevance into personalized snippets, personalized like lines. So it's it can be both. Regarding personalized voice messages and videos, yes, this one is pretty hard, but yeah, you can master it. I haven't been trying them pretty like a lot myself, but from what I have seen and I have heard, like people love receiving those personalized voice messages. So that's how, because you probably become more human, and they hear at least your voice and they can see your picture, and of course it makes you more human. I also love GIFs actually, because we do use GIFs for our LinkedIn messages, and it works pretty great. And more importantly, if you can convert those GIFs into a humor, this works even better. Here's I remember a story, like almost, I guess 2 or 3 years ago, Morgan like actually prospected me, like he sent me a personalized gift, and it was with a humor, and like, wow, that's a great example. As you can see, I remember it even right now, because it was like a really great personalized approach, was in and plus humor. Yeah, that works like a charm, I would say. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, also I would say also develop a clear call to action and build your sales profile, because I guess there is a stat saying that if you send like something on LinkedIn, they're gonna check your profile as well. So make sure to add as many info there as well. And by the way, here's even craziest thing. I actually preparing for this webinar, I decided like to Google best practices for LinkedIn messages, and I found an interesting article written by LinkedIn itself, and it's almost 10 years old, and here it is. And as you can see, majority of these best practices remains the same. So as you can see, the foundation of best practices is the same, even like it is written like 2013. That's crazy, right? And more interesting, they even say you have to combine emails with other contact methods. Like they are talking about multi-channel, like in 2013. That's crazy. Okay, so I think if you stick to these best practices, you will get a way better results. Maybe any comments here, Moran, or can?
No, I think it's super straightforward. I mean, I'll tell you this tip I always give people: be brief, be brilliant, be gone, right? Like that's the focus that you want to have when you're doing these. And it'll, as we go through these messages, like you're going to see like how you can take this into action across the board. But like think about that every single time you reach out, like be brief, be brilliant, be gone. How do I do that consistently?
Agree. Yeah. Okay, and before we get started with templates, here's poll number 1. Have you ever sent cold LinkedIn messages and emails? Oh, wow. Can you see the results already?
Oh, they're coming in. They're coming in. We're gonna see here in a minute, but I see a couple coming in.
I was thinking it's gonna be like 50-50.
If it could be, we'll see. It might be 70-30. No, because some people may be like done with the InMails. But okay, we got 85-15. I was wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, the same here. All right, so we have lots of people who have been sending cold LinkedIn emails. All right, that's great. So we know what we're talking about here. Let's get started. Okay, so Morgan, I will quickly read a template, and then you can share your insights, and like we will have like approximately 5 minutes per template, and then we can proceed to the next one. Okay. Dear first name, I saw some product development related job post you did. Your research suggests you might be interested in hearing about what we can do for companies. So here's a quick rundown. Being a technology partner for many product teams, our company provides end-to-end services. In particular, there are 4 bullet points with value proposition. To learn more about startup studio. Here's a link. Learn more about technology partner. Here's a link. Essentially, so here's another value proposition. We can take any concept at any stage of development, deliver a working product service that generates revenue. And we do this by delivering dedicated tech and growth marketing team setups and creating MVPs. At your request, I can send a tailored presentation with relevant cases we solved in your domain signature.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about here. All right, y'all. So look, if this is your message, I'm not gonna roast you, I'm not coming after you. I've sent messages like this before, only here to help. Let's add that caveat. All right, so let's get into it. First and foremost, like, if you're looking at this message, I always try to find things that are good. So something that is good is like bullet points. Like, there's nothing wrong with bullet points. I want to add that as like a context point. They're not bad, right? It's just how you go about them and how you articulate it. I'm not mad at the bullet points. All right, they're not bad. So I'm gonna say that first. Second thing is, the value prop. I think there's an element of that could be fine-tuned. That's not a terrible value prop. So let's just start with those two there, right? Now, let's go into like what can be improved here. And there's a lot of things. So hopefully y'all are taking notes, because like everything I'm going to say could fundamentally change the game for you. Okay. So there are two links. Anytime that you send an email, or in this case, a LinkedIn message, that's too much happening. It's called the paradox of choice. When you give people too many choices and they don't know what to do. So okay, learn about the startup studio, then learn about the technology partnership. It's like, I don't know where to go, so I'm not going to do anything, right? So you have to give people a choice on where you want them to go, right? Too much happening there. Pick one link, pick one thing, to the point where like the call to action shouldn't even, like, hey, I'm going to send you a tailored presentation, and here's a link, and here's another link. Too much going down, all right? So that's the key element there. The other thing that I will say is the bullet points are good, but I'll write this down. At max, you want 3 bullet points when you're doing any type of message, right? Over 3, not good, right? Not good. That's not what you want. You want at max 3. And then as a part of this as well, one of the things that you want to be able to do, especially like, you don't want to talk about a tailored presentation. That's effectively like what you want the call to be. So you want to aim for like an interest call to action, right? Hey, would you be interested in this? Does this sound like something that would be intriguing, etc.? So let's like go through this, and I'll like reshape the email for you all. So first and foremost, dear first name. I don't know anyone who talks like that anymore. I mean, unless we're like in the Middle Ages. Like, again, we're not trying to roast you. You have to think about how you talk. Has anyone here started a conversation with dear, like in person? Put like a 2. Probably no one. So the thing is, you don't want to start a conversation say dear. Like, that's not how anyone talks. Like, this is like not a reality thing, unless you do, and like that's great, but like 99% of people don't talk this way. So you want to talk the way that you actually talk. And then the key here is like the product related job post. That's cool. Research, that's fine, but the bullet points need to go down. Links, get rid of them, and then make a call to action that's concise. But Vlad, you can add to this as well.
Yeah, great suggestions. I had to put this best practices number 1. I would say always read your templates, and always be honest and ask this question: will you reply to this template yourself? Like, will you do this or not? If so, then yeah, probably it's a great template. If not, then probably you have to change something there. Yeah, I agree with dear. I also agree with bullet points, 3 as max, because there is also a study saying that they actually love bullet points, but they keep reading if you have more than 3 bullet points. And also works with website copies and so on, with like with designs and so on. So use less bullet points. The same with links, 1 as max. And I would also suggest to probably consider your CTA and make it like interest based, something like no rush. Yeah, again, no rush, but is it something you're interested in, or something like that? Yeah, if you pitch your product or services right away. So this is my comment there. Okay, so and I saved Morgan's suggestions. So one link, 3 bullet points, interested base CTA, and their first name. So for this one. So whoever sent us this, it helped you. Okay, let's move on. Number 2, hi, first name. Thanks for connecting with me here on LinkedIn. So, okay, they sent a connection request and they accepted it. Thanks for connecting with me here on LinkedIn. I'm looking to work with companies like your company that want to an up-to-date marketing funnel with regular shows meeting books. This funnel gives me a serious advantage over competitors in acquiring new clients. Implementing a winning lead generation strategy that delivers highly qualified leads and book sales meetings using LinkedIn is what we do all the time. At this point, I regularly work with Israeli and US clients. We are booking 3 to 4 sales meetings per week for them. Would you be opposite to investing 20 minutes in the next week to explore how this might help boost your lead generation best signature?
Okay, so let's dive into this. I think this is actually a pretty solid one across the board. I like the fact that they're talking about that they regularly work with like certain clients in a certain space. They brought a case point. I like that. And I also like they talked about the winning strategy. I think and I also like the call to action. I think the main thing, if I'm being like nitpicky here to give some insight, because I actually like this overall, is like, I'm looking to work with companies like X. I feel like that's like used a lot, working companies like whatever. I think that you should come up here and say, hey, I'm looking to work with companies who are Israeli or US clients, right? And basically what I'm saying is, at this point, I regularly work with Israeli and US clients. This is a context point. You want to bring this context point up to the second sentence. You're like, hey, I'm working with companies like this company that are X, Y, and Z. And then you go into it, because you effectively actually don't need this sentence, right? I'm looking to work with companies like this company that are a Israeli and US client, whatever, that want an up-to-date marketing funnel with regular sales meetings booked. Now at this point, you don't need that. Then it goes into what that is. It goes into this here as well. Now, I will say this one thing. You'll see like this funnel gives them a serious advantage over competitors in acquiring new clients. That's a good point. You can also have a pattern interrupt question as well. So you all can take notes on this. You have 2 different questions when you have these LinkedIn messages as well. If you go over 2, it's too much, but 2 is solid. So you could say like, how are you currently making sure that you're getting consistent meetings? Right. So you ask them a question in the middle of it, so they got to think about it. Then you're going to say, this is how we do it. And then you say, we're booking meetings for them. And then you have a call to action. When you are thinking about messaging, especially LinkedIn, you have to think about the psychological path that someone is going on. If you can think about the psychological path, it makes your messaging even better. So that's what I'm doing there. So to recap, I'm saying I'm working with companies like this company. I'm going to mention the 2 context points I just said. You don't need the I regularly work with, take that sentence out. You could change this funnel to a question that leads into a value prop to answer your question, that then goes into a proof point and then goes into a call to action. So those are my tips there.
Sounds great. Yeah. And what I also noticed that there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. Typically, when it comes to cold emails, I prefer to have like 3 or 4 with my emails. And I'm not sure if it applies with LinkedIn messages, but I will try to kind of to probably maybe shorten this template. Maybe push regular work Israeli. And I guess as Morgan said, is to push Israeli, like maybe remove Israeli and US clients and add to the second paragraph when you mention companies you're working with. And yeah, maybe decrease number of paragraphs. I'm not sure. What do you think about this?
You said increase or decrease?
Decrease, yeah, decrease.
Yeah, I mean you could definitely decrease it, which is why you don't have to have the regular words. Like you could take that part out. I'm actually not against the proof point there as a follow-up. You could even, you could even take out thanks for connecting me here on LinkedIn. Like that to a degree, inherently you don't need as well. Like you don't need it. It's nice, but you don't need it. So you could shorten it and just be like, I'm looking to work, funnel, value prop. Here's what we're booking, call to action. So you just took out 2 sentences if you need to, but those are just different ways of looking at it.
All right, cool. Okay, maybe let me check the chat. Okay, so we don't have any questions, I guess. So if you have any questions or maybe, I don't know, suggestions, just let us know and we'll go through the chat. Okay, let's move on. And number 3, hi, first name, does your team, okay, I love this one actually, I guess. Does your team have a difficult time winning over staff? How much are marginal leaders costing your company? If a quality management team that positively motivates and adds to your culture is a dream come true, all you have to do is let me know and I will set up a strategy call to get started. Let's get this done. Signature.
Okay, so we actually do have, so I actually see that we do have 2 questions in here. Before we answer this, but I need clarification. Someone says, what does handshake your cold emails and LinkedIn message me? I don't exactly know what the context of that. Do you know what that means? I don't actually know what that means. It says, what does handshake your cold emails and LinkedIn messages mean? Unless
that's great. Okay, this
okay,
multi-channel,
cool.
like use multi-channel sequences, like send email, then maybe LinkedIn. So don't just rely on LinkedIn as your cold outreach strategy. Just mix channels. Oh yeah, that's probably nice wording, but
yeah.
what he's talking about, like, yeah, I got it.
Okay. And then another person is saying, does injecting humor work across all cultures, industries? I mean, look, at the end of the day, like humor is like can mean so many different things. So, I mean, to answer in short, like it's going to vary person to person, industry to industry, culture to culture. So just be mindful of what you're doing and when you're doing it. That's like the best way to put it. But to go back to this, so look, I don't know about y'all, but I laugh. I'm not laughing at the message, but I laugh at how I'm interpreting this. I'm just telling you how I read this. So when this person asked this question, this is a great first question. But I feel like the second question is like they added an exclamation point and they're like yelling at me. I'm just telling you how I'm reading this right now, right? I could be wrong. Does anybody else feel this way? I don't know. I'm reading this thing. It says the question, and then has an exclamation point like they're yelling at me now. Like, okay, like I'm paying attention. I hear you. So here's my rule of thumb, and everybody's context points are different. I'd say, hey, stick to one question. This is starting to be a lot of questions, right? And now people might be overwhelmed and might not even read to the next thing. So my insight on this is fine. This is like a quick hitter. I like to call this just like a quick, like a nudge, right? A nudge what you're doing to somebody, just saying, hey, here you go, right? It's a dart, essentially is what I like to call it. You're coming in real quick with the question, you're coming with the value prop, simple, right? So I don't have too much to say here besides pick one question and then go to the value prop next.
Oh, I have seen all these templates before, and I would think it's the same. Like, wow, there are 2 exclamation marks, and it's like, it's okay. So it's kind of you're yelling at me or something, and I was so yeah, the same. I was thinking about the same. Yeah, just decrease, just remove probably your exclamation marks at all. Because it's the same as when you use caps lock for your subject line. Like it's kind of unprofessional or something. I don't know. So yeah, I would suggest to remove those exclamation marks here at all. Yeah, it's the same. But I love this one.
Yeah, that's a solid one.
Yeah. Okay. Here again. Thank you for accepting my invitation to connect. First name, my company. There is also a website, like domain. It's a North American leader in offensive security. We offer a range of services within 7 key areas. Here's those 7 key areas. At your request, I would welcome to the opportunity to schedule an introductory meeting to provide an introduction to my company and discuss areas where we may be able to get to work together. Not to mention, it would be nice to make a more formal introduction, exclamation mark. I open to having further discussion regarding offensive security. Kindly get back to me at your earliest convenience. Best, signature.
All right, let's dive into this, y'all. So there's a lot of like pieces here, right? So let's just go into like the offer piece. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing this. It's just a lot of information. Like this is something that could be found on the website. It's kind of like a marketing type email rather than a sales email. This is really the main difference here, right? They're talking about web and mobile, external vulnerability, wireless, internal, threat, instructor led, secure. Like this is a lot of information. So again, distill this down to 3, but be transparent. Like you don't need to say a whole lot here. You need to stick to 1 and then move forward from there. So that's the piece on that one. On this first one, you'll see right here, hey, we're a North America leader. I'm going to tell you right now, like nobody cares that you're a leader in anything. It has led to 0 meetings in my entire. Now, again, if someone in the chat's like, hey, Morgan, I said we were a leading provider and got me a meeting, I'm happy to hear you out. But out of all the emails I've reviewed, LinkedIn messages as we're here that I've reviewed, I've never heard anyone be like, wow, you know what? You're the leading provider and we want to work. Like that just doesn't happen. So what I'm telling you all is like, I would stay away from that. Don't mention you're the leader. Like show why you are by how you're actually helping this person, because this essentially is a pamphlet of this is what we are doing and how we're moving forward. And so when you're thinking about this, the feedback is I would redo this. I would pick one of these things, these services. And so this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 7 LinkedIn messages separately. If you take each service, you could go make 7 different messages right now. But this is too broad. It's too general. And typically people are going to roll their eyes and move on from this. So that's my feedback there.
What do you think about kindly get back to me at your earliest convenience? Do we really need this one here, or it's like fine to have this?
I mean, in the chat, y'all can let me know if y'all like this one. I personally don't like this one. Like, say your call to action and see you later. Like, best regards is basically you saying kindly get back to me at your earliest convenience. And here's the thing. I said this, I was in a session earlier. We were doing sequence teardowns. And I was like, look, like every single sentence, you got to think about like, this is like, you are literally putting money on the line. All right. If you write LinkedIn messages as if you're literally taking money out of your bank account and each word is worth some type of amount of dollars, you would take this extremely seriously and not write earliest convenience. I just don't, I feel like it's a waste of a sentence. Every single sentence that you write should lead them to wanting to take the meeting, right? So someone saying I'm a leading provider in the security space, most people are not going to believe you, and it's fluff and it's too generic. That doesn't help you get a meeting. So every single sentence has to lead to a purpose of getting a meeting. Otherwise, it's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, just to be super transparent on that.
Great, thanks. So here are suggestions. Remove leader, because it can be tricky. Remove some of these 7 points, or you can use them across your follow-ups, and think about the last sentence. Maybe you want this or not. So I also maybe would suggest, here's what we do here at Reply. When it comes to like these bullet points, actually we try to personalize emails based on personas, and our value proposition also based on persona. For example, if we're reaching out to SDR leaders, we will mention features or things that SDR leaders care about. If we're reaching out to VPs of sales, we will also use something different. So here's what I mean. So for example, if you reach out to maybe VP of engineering in this case, then just pick 3 bullet points that that are relevant to a piece of engineering. If you target CTOs or CEOs, and choose 3 bullet points that will resonate with these personas. So because here you mentioned penetration testing, then you mentioned like security awareness, maybe those things are not relevant to the same persona. So I would also maybe suggest this one thing here too. Okay, chat. They're going to. Well, what was the earliest comment? Getting without blank. Q&A. Okay, let's check.
You talking about be brief, be brilliant, be gone, Tom?
Uh,
I think that's what he's talking about. I said be brief, be brilliant, be gone. I believe that's what you're saying. Otherwise, Tom, I might be way off base and you were talking about something different. Yep, cool. We're good.
Please also show us few ideal or good LinkedIn messages. A previous one was a great one. I think even this one is also great. It's a solid one. You just need to try it a few more tweaks. What do you think?
Also, as well, I'm gonna give you all like a straight up context point. Like, we will eventually probably get to one that is good here. We're showing you this to let you know, like, this is like 98% of LinkedIn messages. There are not a lot that are good. So this actually should fire you up to realize, like, if you take like a couple seconds to write a good one, you're going to be ahead of the pack. Even if you do a video note, a voice note or a video, you're going to be better than everyone else, because this is what 98% of messages look like. I even look at my MLM inbox and like they all look like this. So the effort, like the the distance between being like a good message and a bad message is like it's like not that far off. Like, all you have to do is like an extra effort and you will be in good very quickly. Like, it's not a marginal heavy task, because most of these messages look like this. So it's like showing you like this is what's happening. So now it's just like, let's just do the opposite. We'll get some stuff, but I just want to add that context point, because like most of the messages look like this.
Yeah, and you know, the most interesting thing that I remember when I started writing my first sequences, my first template, they were pretty much the same, like this one, for example. And then I
Yep.
just okay, maybe I want to remove the last sentence. Maybe I want to like 3 bullet points instead of 5, because when I started, I also have like 5 or 6 valid props. So you have pretty bad template, then you just remove some things, make some tweaks, and you will have a great template. That's what was with me. Yeah, it happened with me. Okay, poll number 2. Yeah, we already
We got the
have
poll
this
coming
guy.
up. All right,
Yeah.
maintenance is knocking on my door. I'll give you. We're gonna be right back when this poll comes up.
Okay, so question here is: have you ever sent LinkedIn voice or video messages? If yes, let us know what's your results, what's your experience here. If not, also let us know why not. Maybe you want to try, or what's preventing you from giving it a try. It's gonna be curious to know yourself there.
I think what do we got here? I think probably, have you ever sent one? I'm gonna say probably like 60% no. I'm curious how this is gonna go down.
Yeah, that's
High.
Uh-huh.
High. So I'm actually curious, like, for people that said no in the chat, like, why haven't you? Like Vlad was saying, like, why have you not done it? Or maybe you didn't even know about it. Maybe you were like, I didn't even know that was a thing. That could also be the case. But I'm curious, like, why haven't you done it? Let's see what's going on. Okay, so it looks like some people didn't even know it was a thing.
I have to confess, I haven't heard about them as well. But then I noticed someone posted about this cool feature on just mobile, I guess. Yeah, it was because LinkedIn voice messages are available just on, like, in your application on mobile phone. That's, yeah. It was,
Yeah, these are if you know how to do it, these are a game changer. I mean, I've gone through like a couple clients with this, like, and there's obviously variants, right? Like there's a MIA, and then there's APAC, and then there's LATAM. Like there's different areas on, where that could obviously be questionable. But I've actually found that in majority of areas, by following frameworks, that they typically lead to pretty good results. Now, obviously, not every single person is going to get amazing results. Just like, everything is done accordingly, but I've actually seen it to be pretty successful. And a lot of people in here just said, hey, well, I haven't heard this before. That's the point. So the thing is, when you reach out to somebody, they're going to be like, wait, what is this? And the human brain, when they haven't seen something before, they get more curious. They're more prompt to actually check out what it means. So just a little bit of psychology baked in there, like why this works and how it can help you moving forward.
okay, so let's check comment there. Why they said why they haven't tried it? They tried for interviews. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's also good as well. Like, it's good to create a personalized touch. So you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, you send them a voice note. Like, that's also another great way of going about it as well. So that's another element for sure.
Yeah, and Marta said that the challenge here is in making it personal when having like mass messaging. Yeah, kind of challenge, agree.
So let's talk about that real quick. So most things, when people think about it, they're like, I got to do this at scale. And the thing is that like, you have to do what's unscalable to be successful. If you do something at scale, then that means that it's not relevant. It's probably not going to be personalized, and you'll get a low response rate. It feels good to send out 300 emails, but if you only get 2 responses, that doesn't really do anything for you. It's essentially called burning the forest, and it's not relevant. So the reason that the voice notes work is because you want to make them personalized. So you have a higher response rate. And this is just math, right? Like, if you did 10 voice notes a day, so that's 5 voice notes in the morning. Let's say 5 voice notes in the afternoon. That's 50 voice notes a week because there's 5 days in the week. That's 200 voice notes because there's 4 weeks in the month. And let's say you get a 10% conversion rate, positive conversion rate, you scheduled 20 meetings. If you do the math and you're consistent, like, this could be a game changer. I tell people, if you're going to do this, you can't just do it 2 days and just quit. The math I just gave you is optimal. Even if you did 200 and you took 5% of that, you're still at 10 meetings, which I think a lot of people would take 10 meetings from sending 10 voice notes a day, right? If you do the math, it makes sense. Even if you get 1%, you're still getting 2 meetings. So my whole point is that like 10 voice notes that you do is in the long term going to help you, because then you're going to figure out how you can hone your pitch, etc. And if you want to keep it super simple, if you want to personalize it, or even if you just want to do it at scale, you could send voice notes at scale, because you could take your emails that have high response rates, and then you basically just say the same thing that your email says. So just something to think about as you all think about LinkedIn messaging. Like, you have the success probably already somewhere with your calls or your emails. You just have to be willing to time block and then consistently do the work, which is what is going to keep you ahead of everyone else, because most people won't. So that's just like the reality of the situation, from what I've seen across the board with different people I've trained and coached.
Yeah, great summary. Agree. It's just breaking down these numbers, and you will get it. And yeah, I think it's a great idea to give it a try. Okay, this is not comfortable for prospect. Yeah, I guess maybe, yeah. Here's how we try to use LinkedIn voice messages as a follow-up to this, and we just literally have a LinkedIn message, and then I just say the same using voice message. Yeah,
I want to actually talk to that point before we go to the next thing. This is actually a really important point. So I think Eeyore, I might be saying your name wrong, I'm sorry, and then Mary Bell, they bring up good points. Super invasive. I don't think it's the right platform. Not comfortable. I want you all to take a step back. That we don't know. And so what I mean by that is, if you cold call somebody, that could be massively invasive, but you might cold call and be like, that's fine. But that actually might be invasive for people. A cold email could be invasive and be like, I don't want a cold email, right? So anything that we're doing cold typically actually probably could be perceived invasive. I'll tell you right now, if someone were to text me, I would not be cool with that, right? So I just want you all to think about, like, when you're doing these different channels, it's up to interpretation if it's invasive or not until you get the response. Now, if you come back to me and say, Morgan, I did 10 voice notes and then people were like, yo, like, this is not good, different conversation. But I also want you all to take in consideration every single element of LinkedIn messages, InMail, voice notes, cold calls, cold email, cold texting. All those could be interpreted as invasive. So until we have feedback on, like, hey, this is invasive, or again, in certain regions that is considered invasive, you wouldn't do it anyways, and I wouldn't recommend it. You know your regions and cultures better than I do. I'm just saying, look at the perspective of every single touch you're doing and A/B test to figure out what's working, what's not. Try it. Hey, if it's nothing's happening, you move on until someone's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Then we take a step back and evaluate, and don't do that moving forward. But I just want you to think about it from that perspective, that the invasiveness is also predicated on how the customer gives you the in real-time feedback, because there's certain things that I've done where it's like, okay, we don't do this anymore because of the feedback as we A/B test and continuously push. So I want to add that perspective before we go into the next teardown.
Yeah, I totally agree here. And actually the same happened with another channel. We tried WhatsApp. We were thinking, okay, maybe we shouldn't use WhatsApp, but it helped us book like 5% more meetings when we when we added WhatsApp. I was a little bit scared about this one, but we did it and it helped. Yeah, just give it a try. Agree. Okay, cool. Let's move on. And number 5 here, hire first name. Building a social media strategy for ad tech can seem like an uphill battle. We saw 1.5 million educational technology companies in the world. It's important to stand out from the crowd. However, we are not convinced that your primary audience is necessarily your potential customer or clients. Instead, think about who you could reach if you created a strong presence on social media: educators, students, parents, and even investors. I'm interested to know how we can work together on that.
I'm curious how people are feeling about this one. There's something about, however, we're not convinced that your primary audience is necessarily your potential customers or clients. That doesn't seem, there's not enough context that you have yet to make that statement, unless you've, again, you would have to get that from like doing discovery, right? I feel like that statement is calling somebody out and could potentially make them feel uncomfortable with that statement, unless you were like, hey, I've like done this research with these people, this is what we identified, here's my statement now, right? Whatever that is. But I think you have to take maybe a step back and maybe look at this instead. Think about if you could reach, I think it's like building a social media can be like an uphill battle. Cool. With over 1.5 million educational technologies in the world, it's important to stand out from the crowd. Then you might be asking, how have you thought about standing out from the crowd within your industry? We have been working with clients in your space who have created a strong presence on social media with educators, students, parents, even investors. Would you be interested in learning more about that? I feel like however, we're not convinced is like coming at them like incorrectly without knowing the full context. I think it needs to be a question that leads into this is how we help versus, hey, we're not convinced. It's like, wait, whoa, like you don't know about me yet. So what are you talking about? That's like what I'm coming from and reading that. But obviously feedback is welcome here on like what your thought process is. But that's how I see this when I really meet it or immediately read it.
So they mentioned that we're not convinced. Like it's a strong statement, right?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, what? Not convinced of what? Like, you don't know me yet. So I feel like you're coming in really hot, and you better have some really good facts if you're going to do that.
Okay, cool, great. So yeah, just probably as I got it, as far as I understand it, Morgan suggests to remove second sentence or rephrase it and make it shorter. And this one is good, I guess.
Yeah, it's good overall. It's just you don't want to come in with, someone put in there, presumptions or context that you don't know about. You haven't done discovery. You don't know that yet. So it's going to make people feel standoffish and be like, whoa, like, I don't know that. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. This is interesting one. Hey, first name, quick offer for you and the team at company. My company would like to offer you a free attack surface report. With this report, you will be able to see your externally facing assets and any potential exposures. Do you have time in the next week or two to talk? Best regards.
So I think this is so you're actually like, the report, I'm assuming, is the call. So that's like where I'm going with this. I'm not too familiar with the attack surface report. So someone they can give more context. Because when you think of a report, it could be like a form fill type thing where it's like you fill in information and then they give you like your assessment without getting on the call. Because then essentially you're asking for two things. You're like, or you're giving two things. Hey, I'm going to give you this report and I also have a call. You have to pick either or in this scenario. Either you're offering a free report that someone is downloading and then they're assessing from there, and then you have follow-up after that, or you are looking to get them on a call. I typically don't lean on giving people 3 things, like a free assess. Like, I mean, again, it depends on what you're doing. Like, everyone's different. Typically, I don't. However, if it's like a blog or it's like a webinar, a case study, like sure, I'll give those away. I think when we're looking at this from a report standpoint, if you're hopping on a call and giving people reports, I think there is a lane in that within this industry. And I would just lean on saying like, hey, like, would you be open to having that assessment call? Because that's what it sounds like this is. So I think this is a good, I'll put it this way. I think this is a good A/B test. I don't think this is something that I'd lead with or have something as a strong message, but it is a good test to see, like, are people willing to hop on our calls for the free attack report that then leads into discovery, that then leads into close. I think it's a good test, but it's not something I would lead with, but it is a good test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I also decided to add this template because it's all about like free stuff, and we also use free stuff in our sequences. But here's how we implemented this: we send like a useful content, like really useful, like I don't know, like a directory of sales podcasts dedicated or for just this, and filtered by like podcasts exactly for SDR leaders, for example. And we don't ask anything back. And then we just send additional follow-up saying, hey, have you seen this? What do you feel about this? So maybe you can, if you have this strategy, maybe you can think, really try to attack, I don't know, their website or their application. Maybe you can even somehow automate this process, and then you can just find a hole, I don't know, a bug, and then just add a screenshot with, you know, all the things and say, hey, we just noticed you have this like issue with your cybersecurity, I don't know, and just what do you think about this? And then just give it a try. Hey, we wanna like, would like you to offer a full like attack report or something like this. This may work as well because we do use free stuff as well. All right. We have subject lines, so probably this is an InMail. New guy, discover upskilling practices at work. Hi, first name, I'm with my company, an HR tech company. Our solution help detect future skills requirements, prioritize skill gaps, plan your workforce, and identify the upskilling potential for the employees. I think you might be interested in a recent guide we published. Link. It reveals different upskilling, reskilling, and cross-skilling concepts at their benefits, describes case studies, and includes tips on implementing strategies. Also, if you would like to jump on a call with me to discuss your current upskilling challenges, feel free to book a time slot on my calendar. Link best.
So, couple things. I'm always, again, as we go through this, y'all can definitely, you know, chime in the comments as well. Like, I don't know. The subject line's way too long. Let's put it that way. Typically, your subject line, you want it to be less than 5 words. So, but I like, this is what I do like, discovering upskilling practices that work. I like that. Discover upskilling practice at work. I think that's a really solid subject line. I don't think new guide is necessary, but I think that part is good. I look at the guide, and I think it's actually, so this, I'll tell you all this. So I don't know if you all know this or not, but like every single time that you send an InMail and it gets a response, you get the credits back. So the whole goal is when you send an InMail is you want people to respond, not to get a meeting, but for them to respond so you can get the credits back and then eventually schedule the meeting with them. So my whole goal is for people to respond and say, hey, I like this blog, or hey, I like this ebook, or whatever it is, right? Like I want them to respond to that. So one of the things that you can do here is just keep the ebook. Like, don't even talk about like hopping on a call. Like I would actually remove that completely because like it's too many asks. So I would just say, hey, I think you might be interested in the thing we've uncovered. This is what it reveals. If you're interested in this guide, I'll send it to you. That's going to typically probably get you a response, get your credit back. You could send them the material, and then now you're having a messaging back and forth. You've gotten your credit back and you're good. That's the key. So one of the things that you could do as well is removing, we talked about this earlier. I'm with this company. It's an HR tech company. I'm telling y'all, nobody cares about that. So you would remove it. So you would try to like start with something that is like more of a hook. In this scenario, I don't know the solution, but I'm just going to throw something in there. I would probably start with like, hi, first name. Noticed on your website that you're hiring a good amount of people, and it looks like upskilling your practice at that work might be something that's applicable. And then I would say our solution, and then I would put it in there, and then I would talk about why they're interested in this ebook. I would remove the call to action, and that's it. So that would make it shorter, and you're now pointing to one call to action, not two, because right now this is to two call to actions. That's the obstacle. You have two call to actions you're pointing to, and that's going to get people to be massively confused.
I love the suggestions. Agree. Yeah, I will also maybe, and by the way, here's a quick idea for you. It's really great use case here. You can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator and just filter accounts that are actively hiring right now, because it's HR tech. So I guess, so when they hire more employees, then probably they are thinking about something for HR as well. I would also maybe add our solution help, and this is a great idea to add those companies you're working with. Our solution help company 1, company 2, and maybe company 3, and that's how you can do both social proof and your value proposition. And maybe and you can replace them with my company saying something, given your job title. I think that, for example, upskilling is in your wheelhouse or something like this, and our solution helps. That's maybe, and again, just one maybe call to action, and remove that calendar invite or use it for another follow-up or something. Okay, so we have 6 more minutes. Wow, so fast.
Moving quick.
Yeah. Let's go through Q&A, I guess, and comments.
Looks like we have one here from Angela. Shout out to Angela. Could you provide us with a template for a cold email and after a prospect connects? I do actually. I gotta go. I have one like stowed away somewhere, and I can pull it up. So I have different frameworks of how I go about LinkedIn messages. Again, this is always important. Like, everybody's going to go about this differently. Everybody has different personas. Everyone has different industries, and like transparently, like depending on what I would go after, this would probably actually change a good bit, but this is like something I found to be helpful. I'm just trying to find an example so I could throw it in the chat for y'all. So when I look to I have a connection request one. I typically only do blank connection requests, but I have one personalized, and then I have a note that I send after. But typically now, like my notes are like voice notes. Like I don't really play around with like text a lot, but that's based on my buyer persona, right? But I'm gonna show y'all this one that has been really helpful. So I'll kind of just throw this one in here. It's called acknowledge, relate, and question. So hold on a second. So that's what it looks like. So like, I'll tell you like why I do this. So after someone connects, this could also be a connection request, but I could do it after it connects. I might be like, the work you've done so far is impressive. Again, this is a framework, by the way. So I can personalize this, but I'm just giving you a framework, a template, essentially. So, hey, I see the work you've done. It's impressive. I call them out as a leader. This is what I know one of your priorities are. And then I ask them a question. So when I talk about asking a question to provoke conversations, that's the key. When you're thinking about LinkedIn, it's conversations that convert. You want to keep telling yourself that conversations that convert when it comes to LinkedIn messages. If you're not thinking that way, like that's how people end up getting not the responses that they want. Conversations that converts. I want y'all to keep asking yourself, telling yourself that every single time. Conversations that convert, right? That's how you want to think about it. So the reason I do this is hey, look, this is what I'm acknowledging what I see is impressive. Here's my value prop to you. Here's my question that I'm asking that then leads into a conversation. So that's how you want to think about every single time. That's just one of the examples I have, but I don't want to, we only have 4 minutes, so I want to be timely here. So that's one of the things I do.
Conversation that convert.
Keep it. Yeah. I'm just keep it in your head. Like, if you're going to immediately try to convert, like, I'm not saying there's times where it works, but like most of the time, like it's probably not. So that's what you want to do.
All right. So let us know if you have any other questions. If not, If not, let's stay in touch. Here's a few useful links for you. Here's my link. Here's Morgan's link. Just scan it, or we will send the PDF later. Just connect with me. Just connect with Morgan. I think we'll be super happy to chat. Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully everyone found this to be insightful and impactful and helpful. And hopefully you'll have a great rest of your day. Like Vlad said, if you'll have any more questions for us, feel free to hit us up on LinkedIn or email or whatever that may be. And you'll have a blessed one.
Yep. And as always, thank you. Stay tuned. We will have way more webinars soon. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.